Tipsy, thank you so much for the host. Sorry, you're gonna hear stuff in the background. Yeah, is that Twitch partner Rose? True. Patsy. Thank you so much, Stream Elements. Now that we have its blessing. Good morning, Cypher. 00 subs, hi. Oh, Rose. Congratulations on getting partner. That is no small feat. Nom 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 nom. Harune whipping up that crunch. True, Shaney, hi. Nom 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 nom. Just giving people time to sort of mosey their way on in. How are all of you doing this wonderful morning? I hope you all slept well. I slept well, but not as much as I wanted to. What a mood! What a mood! Double Zeta! Hi! Welcome! Nimini Kai! I, slept. Kai, happy belated birthday! I hope you had a wonderful stream last night. Alex! Yeah! Hi! Well, alrighty. I thought I would wait a little bit longer, but I think we don't really need to. It seems like there's a good sizable amount of people here. A lot of other. Hi, welcome. Body's still feeling it even though I did sleep. Oof. So all of you wonderful people, as you know, once a week for the month of April, I have been in contact with other VTubers who are either learning musical instruments as, that's sort of their identity as a VTuber, that is what they do, or people who are learning musical instruments on the side and have been learning it for either quite some time or are new to it. It doesn't even matter. Musicianship is about the love of music and the respect that they have for it, not necessarily their, number of years for, learning or anything like that. So, any hoozles, after that rant. So as you know, I've been chatting with those kinds of VTubers once a week throughout the month of April, and this is our final interview / chat or whatever. So, Comrade, thank you so much for the follow and welcome to the Kingdom of Crunch. Good morning. So, help me, please, to welcome our special and final guest for the series, Suiren! Hi! You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to get rid of the chat box. So there are people chatting behind you. Hang on. Boop. All right. Mischief managed. Hi, Suiren! Welcome!
Hello. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming. It's such an honor to be able to chat with you.
It's an honor to be here.
And I know you have not super duper recently, but, earlier than most of us, have recently made your debut. How do you like the virtual world so far?
So far, so good. It's been interesting. I've had people questioning me on whether or not I hoard treasure. But the answer is no, I do not hoard treasure.
There we go. That's what we want to hear, honestly. Because isn't that the first question on everyone's mind? When they see your stunning face, my goodness.
Yeah, the first question people ask is whether I hoard treasure. The second is, do I eat princesses?
Oh. The
answer is no to either.
They must be confused with a previous demon lord who has since retired. But
yes, I don't know said demon lord, so there you go.
Yeah, no correlation whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
So praise the dragon. So this is in chat. Nice, nice, nice. She doesn't eat humans. Ace! Hi, welcome. I don't know any...
When did I start eating demon lords?
Paladin, hi. I don't know any demon lord. She doesn't hoard, she just collects a lot of it. Ah, naruhodo. Naruhodo, I see. So...
Doesn't happen.
There we go. So to sort of kick all this off and what I've had each of my guests, I don't like calling them guests, it seems pretty weird, but I guess they have been guests. But what I've had each of my guests do to sort of start things off is, could you tell us where your musicianship lies? What is your instrument of choice, and you know, what's sort of the background of it with you?
My instrument of choice is a harp. The background, well, I on and off really have been learning it for, let's see, about 2 years now, I would say. It's not that long, so I've just started recently, I would say, like musically wise recently. So yeah, about 2 years, and I actually originally started it, this is gonna break immersion. That's okay. I originally started it before I went to Japan. And then I stopped because I couldn't find a place in Japan to continue it. But I recently stumbled upon it, like upon like a harp lesson school. So I was able to start again.
Oh, nice. So it wasn't for a lack of, love or care for it. It was literally a lack of teachers and a lack of like a place to
exactly
learn from it. Oh, I see. That's so much better though, because then so what did you do then to sort of, did you keep up with it during the time difference, or?
Well, I had a harp when I was before I moving to Japan, but like a harp is obviously huge and really difficult to carry around, and does not travel well, to say the least. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to bring it with me.
Oh no!
No, yes, but since finding a teacher, meaning I could find some place that sells harps, I was able to get it like a relatively smaller sized one than the one I had before. So that one I was able to carry around and practice. Unfortunately, that one is the one that I got here in Japan is currently in the storage. Unfortunately, I won't be able to play tonight.
No, that's okay. I appreciate it though, and I would never expect someone to I am scooching ever so closer to you, and I'm trying to be like
inching
back
closer.
up.
It's okay. Speak closer. I don't mind. Give me a hug if you want.
Yay! Because we know now that she doesn't eat people, so it's okay.
No, I don't eat people.
Yes. So it says, who is this? Is it another streamer? It is another streamer / VTuber. Yes, this is the water dragon goddess. Can I introduce you like that? The water dragon goddess, Suiren, and she is amazing.
You are amazing as well.
But yes, so you said you couldn't take your flute, or what? Wow, not flute. You couldn't take your harp with you, but you were able to purchase a new one, because of the place that teaches. So how long have you been learning for those 2 years since finding that new location, or?
Correct.
Okay.
2 years since fine. So including the time that I've started before going to Japan, I guess it would be a total of 3.
Oh, okay.
Well, like since stopping in the middle, I sort of like forgot a lot of things like fingering and stuff like that. So starting back once again, it feels like I'm just learning everything anew.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What? Go ahead.
No, go.
I was just gonna ask what's been really, what was like the first thing you found that you had lost since?
The ability to read music notes.
Oh no! Oh no! That's so terrible. Oh
yeah,
goodness.
Because before the harp, I actually learned a little bit of the guitar.
Oh.
But guitar notes is so different from like piano notes or harp notes, because like harp music sheets are basically written in a similar way to pianos. So there's the top and bottom part, you know, like, but guitar notes are just numbers most of the time. So you know, starting the harp is basically like just learning to read the notes from the start. And I haven't started it for long before I had to stop. So that was the first thing to go.
Oh, okay. Understandable then.
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
My teacher kept saying like, oh, you have to remember the notes. You have to remember the notes. But like, I keep going back to class every day, every week, and going like, what's E again?
You're like, oh, I forgot, what was this note again?
Yeah, what's this note again? What's the squiggly thing over here?
Oh no.
Yeah.
The squiggly thing. Relatable.
What's that tadpole over there?
Oh goodness gracious. But I feel that. I absolutely feel that. Because it's, you know, it's just like learning to read a language, right? So like the moment you sort of stop applying it every day, it is really easy to lose.
Yeah.
And it's a long time to build as well. So like you can read it, right? Just like a child can like sound out words, but it definitely is just like seeing it over and over and over again until it finally clicks, and you don't really have to like sound out every single letter. You can be like, this word is blank. Sort of like in music where you don't have to read every single note anymore. You can be like, that's a scale. Or that's an arpeggio. Right. So, I get that. And if you excuse me, I'm gonna crunch.
Go ahead, go crunch away. You know what? I'm gonna crunch too.
Yes, please. A little bit of a crunch break for like 2 seconds. And while you've been chatting away, I have been giving people the proper shout outs. So I've shouted you out. For those of you who don't know Suiren yet, you want to get to know her a little bit more, please follow her on Twitch. She also has a Discord and a Twitter, so please go check her out. Go check out her stuff. She is elegant and mature and plays a wide variety of games. And have you yet to do a harp stream?
I haven't yet to do one. I will be doing one at some point. It's in the plans. Along with ASMR. But yeah, it's in the plans. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it will.
Yay!
Yay! Yay!
ASMR is growing again.
It's growing again. Yes.
I think so.
Cookies. Did it ever stop growing?
You know what? Good question. Nakitan, thank you so much for gifting a tier 1 sub to Asu and for allowing him to be a special Krancha within the kingdom. Thank you for 10 months. Nice.
Wow.
Hang on. Suiren _ VT. There we go. There you go. I know I shouted you out once, but for those who missed it, there it is again. So yeah. Yeah. So now, note reading. Note reading was one of the first things to go. What about technique-wise on the harp? Like, did you feel like you sort of had established enough to feel like you had lost some sort of like the physical skill of it, or?
That surprisingly wasn't that hard to get back. Or when I went to the trial lesson, the first lesson that I started in Japan, the first thing my teacher said was, "Oh, you have really nice fingering skills. You know, like, you know, your arms were in the right places and you did really well." So surprisingly, that body memory didn't go away.
Oh, good.
So that made me happy. Just the mental ones.
Well, that's good. That means you had hopefully like practiced or learned enough that a lot of it became muscle memory, because that's a lot harder to lose, I think. So yes. Now, so we're sort of talking about your harp revival, but what got you into harp in the first place?
What got me into harp in the first place? Good question. The reason I wanted to do the harp was because I like the sound of it. It's a very elegant sound. The harp, at least in my mind it is. And originally actually it was a toss-up between the harp and the koto, which is like the Chinese version of a harp, I guess you would call it. It's a string instrument, you know, like the have you seen one before, like a koto?
I think so. It's like a tabletop harp, right?
Yes.
With
yes, correct.
Yeah, is it the? I keep wanting to call it a guzhen, but is it?
It is. It's
oh, okay.
guzhen. Yeah, like in Japanese it's called a koto, but like but they're slightly different. The numbers of strings is slightly different, but like they're shaped similarly. But yeah, no, I wanted to learn the guzhen, but that has even less places to learn than the harp. So like of the two, the one I was able to find was the harp. So I was just like, oh well, I guess I'm going with the harp then.
So it wasn't like some sort of like deep passion. You're just like, oh, I'll, not that you weren't passionate about it, but you were like, oh, one or the other, more leaning towards this because this reason, sort of thing. Yeah,
like I liked the harp to begin with. It's not like I don't like it. It was a toss-up, like either or. Like I wanted to learn an instrument, and those two were my top choices. So I would have been happy with either one I was able to find. The harp just was the one I was able to find faster. I guess you could call it that. So you could call it some sort of fate, I guess. It was fate, my meeting with the harp. There you go.
出会ったの時 like an anime.
So exactly.
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear it though. I know far less people who play the harp at all, honestly. Although I don't
assume so. It's not an easy instrument, first of all, to learn, second of all, to find a place to learn, and again, like, not a very popular instrument.
Oddly enough, yeah, even though I guess you would never have to, compete for a spot in an orchestra. They'll always need a harpist at some point. But there's so few.
Harpist is always needed.
Yes, exactly.
There's not enough of us.
There are dozens of us. Dozens. Anyway, so we start with your interest in the harp. How were you? Was it through a private studio when you first began lessons?
Correct. Yes.
Was this at like a store location, or was it you go to your teacher's house? How did that sort of pan out?
It was at a store location. How I found it was actually really strange. I was actually going to the doctor's.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you know that a lot of the stores in Hong Kong, they like their shops are on like second floors, third floors, simply because there's not enough ground floor space. Open space for people to have their shops. So most stores go up the building. They just and the doctor's place I was going to for a body check, like for just a regular checkup, happens to be on the third floor. The harp store was on the second floor.
Oh!
So I walked past it as I was climbing up the stairs. And I was like, hey, I didn't know there was a harp store here. So after going to the doctor's, I went in and I'm like, do you guys do lessons? And they're like, yeah, sure, we certainly do. And so that's how it started.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. Then you're right. That definitely had to have been fate, because how else would you have found it had you not needed to go for a checkup? Hey, that's so cool. Oops. So, Yuikai, thank you so much for the host, and thank you everyone for all the hosts and follows up until this point. I didn't want to interrupt any flow of conversation, but welcome all of you to the Kingdom of Crunch. Thank you very much. Yay! And hello, Yui.
More crunching to be had soon.
Yes.
Cookies.
There you go. Shout out Yui. Does Suiren speak Japanese or Draconian?
Good question. Draconian as in like the language of dragons, which is pretty much telepathy, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
I mean like Asian dragon, Chinese dragon, not Western dragon. There's a difference. Don't mix up the two, please.
Yes.
Asian dragon. So technically speaking, I speak both, I guess you would call it. Draconian and Chinese, and Japanese and Chinese.
Hey, there we go. So she's learning the language of the mortal realm. She's had a long time to practice.
Slowly but surely.
I think you had said the last time you had been to the mortal world was 10,000 years ago?
Indeed. 10,000.
Yes. So language has changed a lot since then. So
undoubtedly, yes.
So it's a slow relearning process. Like learning to read music again.
Like learning to read music again, exactly. Dragons have to learn too.
So. Has to learn how to assimilate somehow. Harp is a noble instrument for a noble dragon. Aww. Yes. Cole, good morning. Welcome. Suiren has many language skills. What? We are impressed by your language abilities.
Thank you.
So it's gonna get loud again. Sorry for BGM volume differences, but I can't, I'm not gonna mess with it anymore. I messed with it too much earlier. But yes, so how you found your harp? Oh, what is like, so like you said, not a whole lot of people play the harp. So if we were all to go to a music store right now and try and find a harp, we would not be able to tell the good from the bad, other than, product quality and things like that, plastic versus wood or something, But what's something that you would look for as sort of someone who's been with harps and knows a little bit more about their make and things like that?
It really comes to preference when you talk about harps, because there are the big difference, like the big separation, I guess you could call it, with harps, is that there's, generally speaking, two types. One would be what we call the Celtic harp, which is the lever harp. So Celtic and lever harp, they're the same. And then the other type of harp is called the pedal harp. Now, pedal harp is more like your grand piano. So you step on the pedal to change the flats and the sharps.
Oh.
While so you have to step on the pedal and then play the string to once you step on it, it changes to a flat or a sharp depending on which pedal you step on. And the lever harp has a lever up top above the harp. If you just so you have to manually move it up and down to change the strings to a sharp or a flat.
Oh my gosh.
So most people, it doesn't really matter which one you start off with, but most people start off with the lever harp simply because the lever harp, first of all, is cheaper. The pedal harp, as I said, you can sort of relate it to the grand piano. So not a lot of people will get a pedal harp. And also pedal harps are super huge. They're like, so also harps are separated into sizes by the number of strings they have.
Oh.
So obviously the more strings you have, the larger the harp. So a standard, what we would call a lap harp, I guess, something you can carry around, can go from 19 strings to 29 strings.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So those are, 19, 27, 29 strings those are the smaller sizes. And then once you get to the, the grand harps and the large harps, those are like 32 strings, 42 strings.
Oh my
Those are impossible
goodness.
to carry around. 42 strings tends to be a pedal harp, though.
Oh my gosh. That is insanity. Yeah. I see already. I would not have known that there were so many different kinds of harps. So what kind of harp do you play?
I have a 29 string.
So the nice happy medium.
The nice happy medium. So basically 29 to 3 octaves. Yeah.
Okay, that's good range. Yeah, 3 octaves are good.
Yeah.
3 octaves is good. So the 19 one is let's see. Like a little over 2 octaves?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad either, but I like the 3 octaves. There we go. It's nice. So have you ever, so the Celtic harp is like the tiny one that you kind of like put to your shoulder, right? And you sort of strum, is that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Have you ever tried a Celtic harp, and like how different is it from your 29 string?
Well, that technically, a Celtic harp, like a lever harp, basically. I use a lever harp.
Oh, okay.
So I have to change the levers whenever I need to change things to a sharp or a flat. So most of the time I play things either in major or a minor, and I save it as, keep it that way and just play the song like that.
Mm-hmm.
And very, like, once you get to, more higher techniques, then you can change, the levers as you play. I've seen people do that.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing. And I, have not been able to get to that stage just yet.
So,
yeah. It takes a lot of concentration as well, and a lot of practice, I would assume.
Yeah, I'd imagine. That's insanity, just like stopping what you're doing. That's like organ players. Like they've got all these levers and buttons along with like, a whole range of the keyboard under their feet. And I just...
Right.
It's crazy. I can't imagine like doing something while I'm playing other than turning a page. Like, that's crazy. Someone asks, is there such a thing as an electric harp?
There is indeed.
Is it
electric harp? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to say, is it structured differently than your standard harp? But I think you were going to get to that, so I'll let you go.
Electric harp is, they mostly have a what do you call it? A belt that you can tie to, like you can secure to your waist.
Oh.
And they're thinner. And tend to be a little bit longer in size. But most of those electric harps comes with 29 strings, I think. Yeah, 29. 27 to 29 strings. And that's the standard size, really. Yeah. So, and most of those harps are lever harps. So very rarely would you see, like almost never would you see an electric harp that is, pedal-wise.
Right, because that's supposed to be sort of the equivalent of a piano, so...
Yes, exactly.
I see. Hey. So they modernized the harp.
Indeed, they did.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever seen, electric anything, honestly, like, I used to have... My very first violin was a gift from a... he wasn't even my instructor. He was sort of like an after-school club director.
Oh.
And he gave me a less than full size. I can't remember what it was. I think it was half size. Half size white electric violin. And it didn't look like it just looked like a regular violin, except it had like a little amp cord sticking out of the F hole. And it was white. But I was like, oh, okay. Like, if you see some of the electric instruments now, like, they're really sleek looking, and there's like a whole, because the sound that it produces on its own doesn't really matter anymore, because it's going to be hooked up to an amp anyway. So like, for example, electric violins, they basically like have no body, right? Like there's no, or at least like half the body is gone. Because there's no need to sort of, get the sound to resonate and to do any of the stuff that it's supposed to. Electric and painted violins are sacrilege. I kind of agree, but it does depend on what you're playing. Like, I would never expect to hear, like, like a Schubert quartet played on an electric violin,
You never know, it might sound, highly fascinating. And
That's
people might
true.
just start doing it.
That's right. Maybe, I mean, and maybe that could be just sort of an experimental trend or, you know, a modern trend or something. They make electric violins that are just the fingerboard and bridge. Oh, see, that scares me. It's sad. But, you know, can't help but be purists. The instrument has not changed for thousands of years for a reason, in my opinion, but...
True. It's true.
True. So, yes. So we're talking about electric harps. And the different kind of harps that there are there. So when you are in a lesson, what's generally your focus? Like, what do a majority of your lessons end up sort of doing?
Other than learning the notes.
Yes.
No, I'm just joking. Most of my lessons starts off with fingering practices, so scales, chords, that sort of thing, and then we go on to a song. So, because I haven't started for long, or have just started relearning. Most of the songs I do are pretty simple ones. And with the harp, you start. How do I say this? You start learning. I guess it's a little bit similar to the piano, where you start learning with one finger, and then you just add on, like 4 finger. Like you go up to. You can use basically all 5 fingers to do the chords and stuff. So and the harp is very much about preparing for the next note or for the next set of notes. So once you hit, how do I say it? So, for example, so if you go do, re, mi, and then before you hit fa, you have to prepare your next fingering. So once you hit it, you can continue on, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do.
So, so it's very much about that. So just before you finish a note, get all your fingers ready, and then just go to the next set of notes and then move your fingers. So it's, very much about learning your fingering and also making sure your hand doesn't move up and down the harp when you're playing, because the sound will come out differently.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can actually, how in piano there's the pedal, you can mute your sounds, right? With the harp, you can actually move down the harp. If you play at the very bottom, the sounds are going to be muted. Naruhodo.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So the loudest obviously isn't going to be in the center. So when you move up the scale and down the scale, you have to always make sure that you're in the center of the strings. But that does not necessarily mean that you're playing at the same, height all the time, because the strings shorten and lengthen as you go.
Right.
So you have to sort of shift up and down, but making sure that it's the right location every time you have to play.
Right. So it's got to be like the middle of each string, no matter like the size of the string. So that doesn't always mean like stay in a straight line with your hands. Like sometimes you do have to continue to shift sort of down on the string just to make sure you're still in the middle.
Yep.
Naruhodo. Oh my goodness. There's so much to think about for the harp.
It's fun though. It's fun. It's lots to think about, but once you have a song down and like you've memorized everything, it sounds so nice that you're just like, next song. I just want to make it sound even better.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. And speaking of songs, what's been your favorite to learn to play so far?
I liked learning, what's it called? Amazing Grace.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a good song to play. That was fun.
How long did that take you to learn?
About a week.
Ooh.
Constant practice. Yeah, about a week. And then currently learning, I think I mentioned it to you before, Moonlight Densetsu from Sailor Moon. That's much more difficult than Amazing Grace, and that's I'm slowly working my way through that.
Oh, nice. So do you have a say in what pieces you get to learn? I mean, of course, everyone should have a say, right? But I know when you start out with an instrument and you're still sort of trying to learn music notes and technique and things like that, sometimes teachers will be like, that's all fine and dandy. We can learn this song, but let's maybe like learn these
yeah,
let's learn this first. Let's learn these techniques first because you're gonna need all of that for this piece. You know what I mean? So how much of a say did you have when you learned Amazing Grace? And is your teacher comfortable with you learning the Sailor Moon's piece?
The Sailor Moon I'm learning on my own instead of asking for my teacher's help because
there we go.
I actually gave her the music sheet and she's like, yeah, let's put that aside for now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, there we go.
That might be a little bit too hard for you right now. I'm like, okay, fine.
You're like, no, we're gonna do it.
But yeah, there's you know, I think it's the same with all students learning an instrument. They have, you know, the standard music text that they're like, we're gonna set you off with this. You're gonna start learning the songs from this, and once you finish, maybe you'll be able to learn other things, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been going through right now in classes. However, Amazing Grace was a choice of my own. I accidentally, and that was an accident, it was not on purpose. I forgot my music book going to a lesson one time, and I was like, gosh, I have nothing. What do I do? The teacher probably didn't bring hers either because she's mostly using mine as, you know, just writing on mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I really quickly searched online and found like an intermediate-ish beginner/intermediate version of the Amazing Grace for the harp. And I bought that, and I was just like, print it, bring it to class, and I was just like, I'm so sorry, I forgot my text, so can we learn this tonight? So yeah, so that's what we did.
Oh, fun! But it was nice for you to, you know, like bring something else instead. As a music instructor, where tons of times I've had kids come in, they're like, I forgot my book. And I'm like, well, okay, so what
do you want to do?
Yeah,
now?
like what are we gonna do? And sometimes like it's like so for books it's actually not too bad because then the place that I work at is also a music store, so we have all of our teaching material sort of being sold in the front, so I can just like run up there and like grab the book, bring it in the back, just make sure we don't write in it and that we treat the book very well, and then just put it back on the shelf. But
right.
For students that are learning like sheet music and they ordered it or they printed it online and you sort of had to purchase it to print it and things, and they don't bring that, that's when I'm like,
right.
So now what? Like, what would you suggest we do then? So then we usually end up working on technique or sight reading, which is not something I spend a whole lot of time with my students doing anyway. So it's a blessing in disguise. But yeah, so you know, it's nice that you at least had something for her, and it wasn't just like, let's just sit here for 30 minutes or whatever.
Exactly. No, what I try to do is because sometimes you get so busy, you're like out for most of the day and you don't have time to go home and just grab your stuff and go to your lessons. So I actually have a file on my phone for all the like random sheet musics that I find that I just can print out if I really needed to. Some of them aren't at the level that I can do them. Some of them are, so like I just print those and bring them to the teacher and go like, sorry, I forgot my text again today. Can we do this instead?
But yeah, like I said, supplemental stuff is just so much nicer than nothing. It is much better. Oh my goodness. Well, that's wonderful. Your teacher must really like you. She's like,
we've had our ups and downs.
Yeah. I guess that's pretty normal as well. It's hard to like always have a good relationship when someone's trying to teach you something.
Yes.
Just because, learning and teaching is all a battle of patience and sticking with it and staying determined, but also trying to be flexible. It's a learning process for everyone. So, なるほど. Yeah, it's a special It's a special thing. But I think at the end of the day, we can say your teacher probably really likes you. Hopefully. I'm sure she does. What's not to like about a water dragon goddess learning the harp?
Aww.
It's
Thank you.
adorable. So let's move on to another question. Is each student a little different? Yes, oh definitely. Oh definitely. There are no two students that are the same. Although I have learned over the last 2 years or so, that sometimes depending on like the demographic, like where they live, that seems to like alter their mentality of what it means to take lessons in general. I've ranted about this like many times in the past, so I'll kind of just leave it at that. But yeah, so every student's different, but at the end of the day, there is sort of something to be said for like, where the area that you live in, maybe what your parents do for a living, and sort of just your upbringing in general. It seems to take an effect on even how you treat learning. Stay hydrated. Okay, I'll take a sip of water. Okay, there we go. Suiren, do you need to crunch?
I'm okay. Do you
You're
need to
okay?
crunch?
I crunched a couple of times very silently. Oh, we got 2 stay hydrated redeems. Let's do it.
Okay. I actually was drinking water while you were talking.
Oh, good. No, please do that. Or else we'll be dehydrated.
Indeed.
Okay, another stay hydrated. You guys are gonna drown me now. Cold water. Oh my gosh.
Don't drink too much cold water. Get some warm water as well.
Yes. Oh no, I've been drinking room temp. It's still not warm enough for me to drink cold water. And I don't even really like cold water all that much, unless if it's like super hot and like I've been like doing physical activity. If there's nothing that gets my blood going, then But anyway,
right.
so there's that. I had a hiccup and then it went away. I'm so sorry. I was like, oh no, so I like try to lean away from the mic. But anyway, so harp lessons. I'm trying to regain my train of thought. Oh yes, learning the Sailor Moon piece. So you've been learning that on your own.
Yes.
And this was after you had suggested it to your teacher. Your teacher was like, no.
Yeah.
So when you run into complications, do you try to subtly ask your teacher like, oh, how would I do, like, hypothetically speaking, if I wanted to do blank? What would I do for that? Have you tried to like subtly ask her that, or?
I haven't actually done that yet. I probably should once I run into trouble. No, mostly because I actually found that piece on YouTube. Yeah, someone was playing it. Someone was playing a harp version of the Moonlight Dance that's on YouTube, and they were like, yeah, I actually wrote the scores for the harp version, and it's on sale here. So I got that. And then I was basically staring at her, fingering as I try to learn the harp.
So you've been learning it sort of through sight.
Yes,
as
not
well.
Easy. Not easy, but yes, just a little bit.
Oh, nice. So what? So how do I'm trying to figure out how to word this question. So it took me a long time. In fact, not until college, where I realized / was scolded for not knowing that there's a lot to be learned through just looking at your music and following along to either recording or even just like, hearing the music in your head and sort of just staring at your music essentially.
Right.
Because I'd be like, oh, you know, I was, you know, here. I couldn't practice because I had no piano. And they're like, well, did you have your music with you? I was like, well, no. And then they were like, well, look at it. Like, look at your music while you're gone. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize. So, with that being said, I know because it's still new for you. Do you ever, while you're watching that video and do you ever stare at your music, or do you try to sort of like mimic what you're watching as you're watching it, or do you sort of just like watch it first and then try to recreate it on the harp? Well, what is sort of your tactic, or is there an off the?
Not with the Moonlight Dance insofar because fingering on the harp is a little hard to figure out, because you have to figure out where which set of notes can be played together with one, like without moving without changing your hands, when which set of notes you need to move along and that sort of thing. But for class music, the stuff that I've done in class, not long pieces, just like simple stuff. If I couldn't, like if I'm at somewhere else before I could, I couldn't practice my harp at home before my lessons, I would sit on the train on the way to my lessons. I would have my my music sheet open. I'd be staring at my notes and going like, okay, I play it like this, and imagine my fingering as I'm doing it.
Oh, nice.
So I would do that, yeah. So yeah.
Yes. No, what a great idea. What a great thing to do. And like I said, I didn't really realize that so much could be done sort of away from your instrument. So if I didn't have my obviously, well, I can never take my piano with me, can I? It's the downside of piano. But yeah, so if I'm sitting there and I can't practice, I'm just like, well, I guess I'm SOL. Like, guess that's it. Now I have no excuse. Now my professors are like, just look at your music.
Now now you can't say that I don't have anything, I can't do anything.
Exactly. And I kind of try to tell my students that now. I know they're, most of them are young and they don't really, I mean, I don't know how many kids who are actually going to pull out their music without a keyboard in front of them and be like, I'm gonna, look at my music and just learn from that. But they could. And so I'm like, okay, well, you don't have to try to practice the song in your head, but you can at least say the note names out loud.
Yes.
That's a form of practice as well. Please just give me one moment. I'm gonna freeze for a second. We're having a slight technical difficulty. So talk with chat for just a sec.
Talk with chat. Okay. Hello, chat. How's it going? Alright, silence. I'm not looking at things real time, but I think there's a slight lag, but we can. And I have the link to our guest. I want to follow her. Ooh, yes, indeed you can. You have, my Twitter is... There you go. Hey. Hello. Hello, how are you guys doing? I hope you have a good day. Suiren, the bard. Yeah, Harune is just gonna step out for a moment. Thank you, Alex Fox, for posting my Twitch link. Stream has been hijacked. Yes, it's mine now.
Sorry, I'm back.
Wait, I shouldn't even laugh evilly. I'm a goddess. Wait, what? Welcome back.
Thank you very much. I'm so sorry. There were like some sounds going on and I was like, I don't know if the microphone's picking up. So I had to go investigate just to make sure that it wasn't gonna like get any louder or continue. And I was like, so anyways, we're good now. It's all good. Yes, so looking at your music as a way of learning. So I'm glad that you do that. You said you sit on the train and you do that.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you guys are all such model students. Oh my goodness. You're doing all the good stuff. You're doing the things yes.
It comes with being older and learning an instrument when you're older. Because when you're a kid, the reason you learn an instrument is mostly because mom says I had to. You know?
Yeah, that's very true.
You know, mom sent me to learn the piano. I have no idea why I need to do it, but I'm learning because mom's paying. And she brought me here and I can't leave.
Yeah, exactly.
But once you're an adult, you have the choice of like, I want to learn a lesson, and so you make more effort in learning the musical instruments. So yeah.
No, that makes absolute sense. And you're right. You are right about that. I mean, when I have adult students or older students come in, they seem more sort of engaged in the lesson. The only unfortunate thing with like older students that are starting from scratch is that they can get sort of frustrated very quickly if they don't feel like, you know, they want to play all the songs that they want. And also because so many of them are, you know, because they're adults, they have jobs and things like that.
Yes.
So somehow it's harder for them to sort of feel justified to make the time to practice. So they're like, I'm interested, but the only amount of time I can really put into this is the time that I spend in my lesson, and not a whole lot of time out of it. So it's unfortunate because they understand concepts so much faster. But the hardest part for an older student, so like kids, they absorb things like a sponge. And you show them how to do it, and they, you know, they're so pliable that they sort of just, you know, they copy you and they learn it really quickly, and that's kind of how they learn technique. But for older students, if it's against something that they've already learned and they've been doing for years, it's really hard for them to get out of that habit. So like, for example, I have a student who has danced for a majority of her life, and she started piano. She was sort of like on and off with piano with a couple of different teachers before she came to me, and so I was trying to teach her, you know, that the whole point about piano is minimum effort, maximum results, right? So there's like a technique called the drop. Well, it's the drop, and then there's the drop lift. But the idea is when you drop, you literally, so you treat your hand sort of like you're tied to a marionette string.
Right.
And when you drop, imagine that string being cut. And so your hand just goes, and it just flops like a dead fish. So the only thing you really have control over is, you know, you keep your fingers curved. And when you drop into that key, that's a very percussive attack. So you get a very, you know, like a knock sound almost on that note. But your wrist drops, your arm drops, and then the lift is this very gentle, very light sort of, well, literal lift. But it was impossible to get her to do the drop because when you're a dancer, you have full control of every part of your body. Right?
Yes.
So for her, even if her arms look really graceful when they're up and they look really relaxed, they're not. It's just the look. And so I was like, you know, drop your arm, drop your arm, drop your arm. And she'd always just like do this like very gentle fall. And I'm like, no, we have to have you unlearn this. And she understood, right? She knew I wasn't like trying to pick on her, but she was like, I'm a dancer. I can't just not control my arms. And I'm like, fair. But so that is sort of the struggle, is that like older students get things conceptually, but technically, like physically, that's where they need to put their efforts in. So unfortunately, that sort of part of the learning can't really be done away from the instrument.
True.
That means you have to spend a lot of time at the instrument. But, you know, for things like note reading, right? Or trying to, you know, remember what comes next in the piece so that you don't, you know, pause or like take any extra time. That's when, you know, sitting on the train or, you know, sitting anywhere without your instrument can be helpful. So I think it depends, but it's good of you. That was like a really roundabout way of being like, hey, you're doing good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, my brain. Any?
Tick tock, tick tock.
Yeah, that's right. We're waiting for that light bulb moment. It's harder to come up with questions in the morning versus the evening. But that's okay.
One thing I have to say, though, the one thing I realized about learning the harp, when I'm learning the harp, is it's very hard to find sheet music for the harp. It is almost impossible to find. Like, you know, with the piano, you can basically be like, oh, I want to learn, I don't know, Into the Unknown by, you know, from Frozen 2. And you can probably find it, like, the piano sheet from anywhere.
Yes.
But when you're searching for something like that for harp, it's almost impossible. Because there's so little demand for it.
Yeah.
There's so little people actually, you know, playing it and, you know, writing music specifically for the harp that, you know, it's, you know, when you find something for the harp, you go, oh,
yeah.
Oh my god, it's for the harp. I'm gonna get it, you know?
Right, you're like, oh, there it is.
There it is. It's here.
That's true. That's true. Probably not a lot of people are writing covers or, you know, doing arrangements for different instruments or for the harp specifically, because like you said, there's just not the demand for it, because as we sort of noted since the very beginning, not a lot of people play the harp. Have you thought about maybe creating your own covers?
I have. There have been moments when I really want to play a certain piece, like with the harp. A recent piece that I really wanted to play was what's it called? Toss a coin to the Witcher.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's originally guitar song. So I was looking all over the place for a harp version of it, and the only closest equivalent I can find was piano. But it had a lot of, like, you know, flat sharp changes, and I was just like, oh, that means I have to move my
You have to change the levers.
Yeah, so I had to change levers. I was like, oh gosh. Yeah, okay, never mind. That's pretty much what it was. Most of the time. Yeah.
Oh no. That's fair too. I always am like hesitant when I see arrangements that don't come with a live video, right? Like of a person like playing it in the flesh, and not like those like light up keyboard things. Because most people who write arrangements, they don't play the instrument that they're writing the arrangement for.
Yeah.
So they will, you know, they just hop on GarageBand or Sibelius or whatever sort of music writing program that they have, and they'll write it and they'll hit the play button, they'll listen to it through, and they'll be like, ah, yeah, this sounds accurate, with zero regard for how the instrumentalist would actually achieve that. I've seen it, like I have a whole binder full of piano arrangements, and like, you know, because there are songs that I really, really want to play too. But I have to, and I try so hard, and that's just sort of like how I was trained, like as a classical pianist. Really difficult pieces were still written by pianists for pianists. So it's not like it's impossible. People have done it, and so you just have to keep, you know, working really, really hard to improve your technique and things like that. So when I see really crazy pieces that are arrangements, I initially am just like, okay, well, I'm going to try and learn everything. And then I realize it's not humanly possible. Like, oh, so it was just the arrangement's fault, not my fault. But that's like that's a hard pill to swallow when you're trying to learn something.
It is, because they're like, well, I don't think they realize you can't put your finger here and here at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Or like, I can't reach an octave of a, you know, a span of a 12th while my left hand is playing octave chords. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's not a thing. Yeah. So that's when you sort of have to like you know, arrange it again, sort of, in like a more, you know, accessible sort of way. But so you said your closest equivalent that you've been able to find for song arrangements have been for piano. Have you ever considered maybe like taking those covers and rewriting them and simplifying them for your needs?
I have actually. That's actually what I was working on for Toss a Coin to Your Witcher. Sometimes it's I look at the piano scores, and because the harp music there is well, at my stage anyways, at the very least at my stage, I'm just mostly learning the majors and the minor chords and like songs in major and minor, and then sometimes, you know, like there's different types of minors and majors, and I haven't learned to read the sheet music for those yet. And so like when I see a bunch of flats on the side of the you know, like next to the
clefs,
the clefs, yeah, and I go like, what is that? I just stare at it like in confusion and go, what am I like? Okay.
So all these notes are flat.
All these notes are flat. And then because I have to go through my harp and just flip every note for that. So like, you know, 'cause with flats, you that's what you do. So it's like I flip every note, and it was like, okay, so that's how you do it. And then suddenly there's that note that's supposed to be a flat, and then they write a sharp on it, and I'm like, oh, that's normal.
You're like,
and then I flip it back up, and I go like, no, I don't understand. Somebody help me.
No.
So yeah, that was an interesting experience. I haven't given up yet. I will get it at some point. I'm just, you know, sort of putting it on a back burner right now.
That's okay. Learn it slowly as you go, and then when you finally get that mystery concept, you'll be like, yes, I did it.
I did it. Yeah.
And it's exciting. I think Foss, what she's referring to is the key signature.
Yes.
Because those are the sharps or flats that you see before the music actually starts, so it's next to the clef. But sharps or flats that are like next to the note head itself within the piece is an accidental. I always think about it as like they accidentally forgot to adjust it. You know, so. But no one ever remembers it that way. It's a little too many words. But yeah, so.
I like it.
Oh, thank you. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Wasn't sure what she was getting after. Yeah, the key signature. Because then you can flip all of your levers to adjust for all of those flats, and then suddenly when you, like you said, like when you have a sharp, you're like, wait, now I have to change it, you know what I mean? And so you're like, no, I'm not gonna do it. No thanks, maybe some other day. At another point in time.
Once I can switch things like without breaking the music up.
That's hard too, is like getting fluidity in there. So how do you, I mean, and I suspect that it's sort of the same tactic throughout music, and it's this whole idea of, you know, looking ahead, knowing what's coming next, preparing your hands and things like that.
Yes.
But how have you found yourself able to adjust to looking ahead?
Memorize the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, said with such confidence and such assuredness as well. You're just like, yeah, just memorize it all. Just memorize it. Amazing. I love it. I love it. So would you say you're more of a memorizer than a sight reader?
Yes, definitely yes.
And it definitely does like come in two camps. Even if you're good at both, everyone will always have, you know, be just a little bit stronger in one versus the other. But being able to memorize music, I think, is a wonderful thing. Because, yeah, like we're mentioning about earlier, just you get the fluidity in there. Hopefully that means you know enough about the piece that you're playing
Right.
that you have sort of accommodated for all of that ahead of time, right? There's no chance to be like, what was that note again? I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna stare at my music for 5 extra beats when we have only 4 measures or 4 beats per measure. So I get that. There is absolutely a perk in memorizing. Have you ever had to memorize for a performance yet? Like, does your studio do recitals?
Not yet. I haven't had, but we do have. My studio does, I think, monthly or bi-monthly, sort of in-house concerts.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's to get their students, you know, more familiarity with performing. And you know, they do seasonal stuff as well. I haven't applied to join or perform in one just yet. I actually do 2 things in that. Sorry, I learned 2 things in the studio. I learned vocals, and I also learned the harp there.
Oh, you do singing too.
I do singing as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. Do you do them back to back or?
No, different days.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Who do you?
Yeah.
So now that we have sort of another lesson source to compare to, what do you find is sort of the hardest for you?
As in vocals or harp?
Yes.
The harp, really. With vocals, even without learning how to read the notes, if you give me the start note, and I can look at the music and go, okay, I have to go higher here, I have to go lower here. That's easier for me. Whereas with the harp, I have to go like, okay, this is a B, this is a C. I have to go, oh, this is like an F or a G, and I have to memorize all the notes and where they go. Instead of just going, oh, okay, I just go 1 note higher here, octave, like, you know, I go 2 notes higher here. With the song, you can sort of recognize that in your head, like with singing. Sorry, you can sort of like, you know, sight see without knowing the notes, and go like, oh, I go from like a do to a la, you know, do la, you know, so that sort of thing. You know, by looking at how much higher the notes are, you know, in the position of the music sheet.
Right.
So,
Not
that
at
makes
all.
any
So you look at the interval then, and you just go, oh, okay, It goes either up a step, a skip, 4th, 5th, beyond, and things like that. Nice. For those of you who aren't familiar, interval is just a fancy term for the distance between 2 notes. It's actually something that I try to get my students to learn really, really early, because, you know, as we discussed before, note reading is that takes a lot of time and like continuous, you know, reading practice. But to read intervals, it's once you get the hang of that, it's a lot quicker to get the hang of, and it's a lot quicker to recognize. So you know, so I try to get my students to be like, okay, well, even if you don't know what that note name is, you can at least figure out what the interval is, and sort of figure out your next note from there. So it's a really, really great thing that you're able to, you know, look at your music when you're singing and be like, oh, okay, I just, you know, do, mi, you know?
Yeah.
Mi, do. Yeah, there we go. It's been a while since I've sang intervals, but that's good. So do you go through? And I feel like I'm asking silly questions at this point, but they are still valid questions nonetheless. So every instrument has a warm up. Is there a specific? I mean, do you do scales and vocals too? Do you do like octave jumps with your voice, or like what is it exactly that you have signed up for these lessons to do?
So most for vocal lessons, you start off with the vocal warm up, obviously, because you know you're the human vocal cord. It's the same for because I do voice acting as well. So voice acting and singing, it's the same because you have to warm up your voice to get your voice used to, sounding out or like, making sounds before you do anything with it, before you can do anything with it and make it, in the Japanese word, it's called, なんだっけ? 響く. So like to resonate. There you go.
なるほど。
So like your voice needs to, in order to project, it needs to resonate. Within the space of your mouth and your head space or whatever you want to call it. And to do that, you have to know which part of your body your voice the sound is coming from, like from the top of your head, from your nose, from your nasal, or from your throat or from your chest, that sort of thing. So with the vocal warm-ups, it's going from basically you go from your chest voice, which is what you normally speak with, to your head voice, which is where you sing your false notes, falsettos. So you go up and down to warm up your voice before you can actually start singing anything, and being able to reach the notes in the song that you're trying to sing.
Oh, なるほど. So do you do your I know you because we've Oh yeah, I think we might have touched on no, I don't think we've touched on this before actually. But so for your voice acting, a demon lord once told me that there are warm-ups that you do for voice acting.
Yes.
Right? There are specific things that you do for that to warm up both voice and body. Because it's very much like a whole body sort of investment.
Yes.
So now when you do your singing warm-ups, and as you become sort of more comfortable and familiar with doing those, do you find yourself incorporating those to your voice acting warm-ups? Or do you actually do some of your voice acting warm-ups to help you with singing, or do you do both? Do you mix them both for either?
So it's a little bit of both. The way you, how do I say it? With singing, it's very much about projecting your voice. So using either your, people mostly prefer that you use your chest voice, like your I guess your how do I say it? Have you heard of the tanden? Like the I guess your stomach, I guess, when when they say breathe out with your stomach.
With your diaphragm?
Your diaphragm, yeah, your diaphragm. When you're trying to sing, once you breathe in, and then you push in with your diaphragm to make the notes soar, right? With voice acting, you have to actually push down on your diaphragm so that your stomach, so that it's always, you keep and maintain a certain pressure.
Oh.
Does that make any sense? So that
Yes.
whatever you're saying, it always comes out with the same pressure all the time. So even if you're saying really long, a really long, how do you say it? A sentence or a really long phrase, you still, even when you're running out of air, you're still maintaining the same pressure, the same volume throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So with songs though, because it's a song, you can find places where you can breathe in again. So basically, you just use all your air in one go through from 2 bars, and then you breathe in again, and then you continue. So you can adjust it that way. But with voice acting, it's one sentence, maybe it's 4 lines long, but you still have to say it all in one go.
Oh my goodness. Is there ever any exceptions to that? Are there any moments where they're can I work in a breath here, or is that not really the point?
No, there are definitely, places where you can do that, but sometimes it depends on the script and it depends on your directions. If your voice director goes, I want you to be able to say that in one breath. Don't cut it off.
Oof.
Sometimes they do that, so you just have to push through it. But yeah, and it also like breathing in when you're breathing in. With songs, you have certain points. They have little breath marks. You can stop here and you can breathe here. You can sing here, continue here, that sort of thing. With dialogue, it's much more like, is this part a good part to pause in your dialogue? You know, sometimes when you're really, you know, I don't know, really angry.
Yes.
Or like, you know, super depressed, you know, mostly because you're angry. You just continue, you just rant on and on and on and on and on. You just don't realize you're not breathing, but like you're just continuing on. So there's moments like that, and then because you have to act it out, you can't, you know, suddenly stop and go. You know?
Yeah, that's
just
true.
Cuts it through.
Then all of a sudden you lose sort of the intensity of that rant.
Yeah.
なるほど. Someone
Anyways,
in
yeah,
chat
so
asks,
singing.
oh yes, it says, maybe I missed this, but how did she get into voice acting? So we're gonna go a tad bit on a tangent here, but yeah, what got you into voice acting?
What got me into voice acting? Very, very randomly. It was never like, I always wanted to be a voice actor, that's why I came here to learn voice acting. No, it was nothing like that. It was mostly, I was learning Japanese in Japan. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna study in Japan for a year and learn Japanese, and then probably go back and find a job with my Japanese skills. Halfway through my year-long exchange program, I was like, well, today's a holiday. I got nothing to do. Let's see what sort of things the school has available, or what I can do. And so the school had these brochures of like different other schools, like Japanese schools, like technical schools, I guess you would call them. Technical schools, and they're like, you know, oh, we have like, you know, test lessons, you know, like taiken jugyo. So you guys that you can go check out. And one of them was voice acting. I was like, oh, never tried voice acting before. Let's, you know, go take a look and see what this is about. And so I went to the school and I did like what they call an atereko, which is, you know, they play the anime without the sounds, and then you have to, you know, voice act to it.
Ooh.
It was pretty fun. And that was actually the reason, oh, hey, voice acting is pretty fun. I like, you know, performances, and I like acting. I like, you know, theater and that sort of thing. Why don't I just try out for this school? And that's the rest is history, I guess you could say.
Oh, that's so much fun. Oh, and I'm sure it wasn't all rainbows and sunshines, right? Like not everything.
Oh, definitely not. No, definitely not. There was lots of rants to be had, and you know, I think with performance, and you for sure would probably know as a performer yourself, a lot of you know, standing on stage has to do with, you know, whether or not you get through the audition first. Yeah. So a lot of the time, first of all, because my Japanese wasn't good enough at the time when I started, I wasn't able to get into a lot of auditions. Second of all is because, you know, like even if you did pass the Japanese language barrier, you might not be the person they're looking for.
Right.
It's just, oh, you know, you have a good voice, but your voice isn't just exactly what I'm looking for, or like, oh, you know, your character, you know, the image that you made for this character is good, but not what we had in mind, you know.
Right, so you have to be exactly what they want.
Yes, exactly. So, like, you know, out of maybe, like, you know, 300 students, that is auditioning for it. Again, you know, one character for out of 300 students, there, you know, people will have to be eliminated, obviously. So a lot of the time it's about that. It's about whether or not you have exactly what the director is looking for. And you know, it's very luck. It's very to do with luck.
なるほど. Right, because they don't really like. I mean, I would imagine that they don't really tell you all of those things ahead of time. They're like, we're looking for this kind of character with this sort of voice, with this sort of expression. Yeah. You know what I mean? They
and more often than not, they the director themselves don't know about it.
Right.
Because they have an image in mind. But, you know, it's not until someone with the exact voice that they're looking for comes in that they realize that's the guy I want.
Right. Right.
So yeah.
That is.
I think if I remember. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, you know, that's understandable, but still frustrating.
It is very frustrating.
Because once again, it's not just about your quality at that point. It's also just, are you what they want?
Exactly. It's very, very much about luck as well. And if I remember correctly, I think one of my teachers once told me, one of the, I can't remember which one it was. There's one very famous anime show, that, like the directors already casted all the members. And then there was this one character, who was it? Can't remember what I just can't remember the name, but like some guy, he was like, you know, just randomly walked in, and he wasn't like, I don't think he was even, no, he was auditioning for it, but I think they already had a different person in mind, that they've casted, but one of the voice actors walked in to audition for another character. The moment he started speaking, the director was like, no, I want this person for that character. You know? So they had to remove one of the people that they've already casted.
Oh no, that's
and bring him in because he had the exact voice that the director was looking for. So this sort of things do happen.
Heck. But then that one person who was already casted was probably just like, oh man,
well,
like,
yeah,
well, that's that then. But I guess, I mean, hopefully people are understanding about that, because it is difficult, right? To find that person that really seems to embody the character that you're looking for.
Yes.
And that's just, I mean,
that's just the way it is.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, you know, voice acting and anything that has to do with like all around media, right? It's something about the look, it's something about the sound, it's something about how, you know, how their body moves and things like that, how they choose to portray it. But at the end of the day, it's still a business, so like whoever makes the cut, and it doesn't always matter how they got there.
Yeah. So yeah, I also, you know, just on the same note, I'm pretty sure you know Terrace House. Do you know Terrace House?
I do not actually. Okay.
I don't know if chat knows. It's a Netflix show. It's about, you know, like a bunch of normal people just living together. It's a Japanese show.
Oh,
so they
cute.
basically record the life of, you know, like a bunch of Japanese people, or just, you know, random strangers living together in the same house. So they cast for that. I was lucky enough to join in not the actual show, but like, you know, join one of the auditions for that. And at, you know, I wasn't able to get through, but I talked to the casting director, and I asked them, so what makes you decide whether or not someone, you know, is gonna be in the show or not? And the thing they said was, by feeling.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like the moment that person walks into the room, I will know, is what they said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
So it's very much, you know, it's very much by feeling and by, you know, what the casting director is you know, wanting at the moment.
That's so difficult. Oh my gosh.
It is.
Oh man, so you're like, you could have put on the best performance of your life, but if you just didn't give them the right feeling, then you won't be. Oh man. 難しいよ.
難しいです.
That sounds frustrating. Has it? I feel like I'm gonna ask another question in pertaining to acting. I'm sorry about that. Has that ever really gotten you down? Like, has that made you sort of reconsider what you do, or are you just like, you know, this is all part of it, I'm just gonna get back up and try again?
Oh gosh, there has been moments where I go like, I'm frustrated. Why? But not because I didn't get casted, surprisingly enough. One time I had a performance at school. It was actually a school performance, so everyone gets a role. So that's okay. But I auditioned for a particular character, and like I was given, the script to prepare in advance, or several scripts to prepare in advance, and that particular script, I enjoyed trying to work it out so much. But I wasn't able to perform it all the way through.
Oh.
My teacher, the person who's casting, listened to not even half of it and said, "Okay, next person."
Oh.
So it was
no.
really, really frustrating because I felt like the more interesting part was at the end, and I wasn't even able to perform it. So that made me sort of frustrated.
Yeah, understandably.
So yeah, like I didn't mind not getting the role, but at the very least have the courtesy to listen to the whole thing is what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, naruhodo. And I guess maybe it goes back to kind of what you were saying, like they need that right sort of feeling, and if they didn't get it, they're not gonna wait until the end. That still stinks though. That's not great.
It does. It does. It is frustrating. But yeah, so after that, it wasn't like I was really, really down for a while. I was like, no, why? At the very least, have the decency. Just like, I don't care not getting the role. I just want you to listen to the whole thing. Like, at least listen to my, effort.
Right. Right. At least know how much work I put into it.
Yeah. So yeah. So that was I think the worst part throughout my fairly short career as a voice actor, or as a student of voice acting. That was I think my worst moment.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but it seems like you've really overcome it though. And this is sort of our bridge back into music, but you've also turned your attentions now towards the more artistic side of it. Not that voice acting isn't artistic, but the more lyrical side of it, I should say.
Yes.
So harp and singing. Do you feel like that is sort of your refreshment from voice acting? Like, do you find like, yes, something else I can sort of put my attentions to, but are related and yet somehow not? Like, do you see that as sort of like a break?
Yes and no. I enjoy, like, the reason I started harp was because I enjoyed it. And that's also the reason I'm continuing playing the harp, because I like playing the harp. But it also gives me an advantage when I'm voice acting, because very often voice actors nowadays don't just voice act. They also sing, they also dance. They're basically an idol. Very much so. Sometimes they do stage plays, and sometimes they do musicals, and that's what's required because voice acting doesn't actually give you a lot of money. So very often they would have to turn to other entertainment jobs. And that's maybe singing an anime cover or anime opening, that sort of thing. So being able to read music is definitely a plus for me, and being able to sing also helps with my career, my choice of career. So yeah.
Right, there you go. So it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful stuff. So I mean, you just started kind of getting back into the harp. After a long time without. But have you already sort of thought ahead to trying another instrument afterwards? Or are you like, no, we're sticking with this. It's harp and singing and we're going to go?
Well, I with the harp, I want to be a little bit more proficient with the harp. But again, as I said before, I decided on a harp, I did want to do the koto as well. So the guzheng, which is something I really wanted to do still. So I might actually go with that after I've become what I feel is proficient enough on the harp to be able to play enough, like to be able to play a song that I want without having to go to my teacher and go, how do I play this?
Right. Oh, well, that's good though. Be as proficient as you can with as many instruments as you can. It's a wonderful thing, because maybe you don't feel like playing the flute one day. Or what? Why I keep saying flute? Maybe you don't feel like playing the harp. My goodness, I got flute on the brain. Maybe you don't feel like playing the harp, but you're like, I want to play the koto. Maybe I don't feel like playing the harp or the koto. Maybe I'll play my cello or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's sort of there's this freedom of fluidity when you have so many things to choose from, especially if you're feeling particularly like emotionally connected that day. I find that Harune likes to play the flute. Apparently I do. It's been a long time since I played my flute, but you know, there are some days where I'm like, you know, I really just want to play my flute and see what sort of sounds I can make from it. You know, and then sometimes for the piano, it's like, okay, well, I want to play this piece or in this style versus that. So,
right.
You know, I think, you know, having the ability to read music is such a door opener. Like, it really, like, that really is the first step into, like, taking you out into the world of, you know, just musical things. It's a wonderful, it's a wonderful thing. Absolutely wonderful. So were you always interested in playing an instrument at all?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Yes. What sort of inspired that interest?
I think it was, you know, so my, breaking immersion again. My sister plays the piano.
Ooh.
She's a very, well, I wouldn't say she's a very good pianist, but like, she's learned the piano, since she was a young age, since she was like a kid. So she can basically play, you know, any songs that she wants, you know, on the, with sheet music, so she can do that. And, when I was asked what sort of, you know, instrument I wanted to play, I was like, well, since sis is doing the piano, I don't want to do the piano. So I was like, you know, it was sort of the rebellious sort of thing.
I see.
So she wants to do that, so I don't want to be the same as her. Even though she's younger than I am.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to go, okay, I'm gonna play the guitar.
Oh, that's right. You did do the guitar first.
Which I thought was really cool. I really did like the guitar. And I was in a band for a while, so it was like, you know, sort of a school band sort of thing. So we I had a friend who did the drums, and I did the guitar, and we had a vocalist, and you know, we sort of performed in school, you know, like events and sort of things. That was fun. So
nice.
Yeah. That time it was like the guitar is cool. You know?
It is, though. You're not wrong.
No, yeah. So I was like, it's cool, and like, you know, I wanna be like, you know, like holding a guitar, going like really cool, and like, you know, do all the cool guitar stuff and that sort of thing. So that's the first reason I decided to start with the guitar.
Oh, nice. So for that one, there was definitely more of a passionate interest where you were just like, the guitar is cool. There are so many specific things about the guitar that you wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
So how long did you do guitar for?
All of high school.
Hey, kakkoi! Kakkoi! Did you take private lessons for that as well?
I started with private lessons, but then the guitar wasn't that hard to learn. In comparison to, you know, other sort of instruments, because once you learn the chords, you're pretty much set to go.
Yeah, nice.
So I think I took lessons for half a year to 9 months, I think, around that time.
Ooh,
And then my friend who was learning the drums at the time was like, well, I wanna, like form a band. You're interested? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I might as well put my guitar to some use, right? so we formed a band, and we like auditioned at school to perform on culture festivals and all sorts of things. So that was what happened.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable. I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie? What is it called? Linda? I don't know if it's Dina or Dinda.
Linda.
Linda. Yes, but it's about this group of high school. It's a Japanese movie, but it's
right.
It's a small group of high school girls who for their cultural festival want to make a band and perform this song, and I think it was called Linda Linda, and I don't know why. Whenever I think about that, excuse me, it's a movie I had to watch when I was in high school myself. But every time I think of girl bands in high school for the cultural festival, I always think of Linda Linda. So was that sort of your first taste at an onstage performance, or had you done some of those prior?
Yeah, that was one of my first experiences performing on stage. Another fairly close actually was the school play that I participated in high school. And my school does really, really high quality school plays, like where all the students are involved, or like the students who want to be involved obviously are involved. So and they do really, really high quality stuff. So it's mostly musical. And the first one I ever joined in was Oklahoma.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I wasn't I wasn't the main cast. I was part of the ensemble, but it included dancing and singing and just performing on stage. And like the performance was actually seen by
cookies.
Like we actually had to sell tickets.
Oh my goodness!
Tickets need to be paid for. So we had we had to keep the quality really high for that.
Right, you had to make it worth it.
Yeah, and it was it wasn't even just like a one night show. It was like 3 nights.
Oh.
So it was it was a
legit thing.
Quality. It was legit. Yeah, it was legit. So that was my first performance, and like costumes and everything. Like there was like a group of students who's involved in costumes, making costumes or preparing the costumes. There's a group of students who are organizing props, and like the teachers did choreography, and we had a teacher doing we also had a band. So like it was full on musical performance.
My goodness. Yeah, that sounds like college level production skills.
Yeah, that was in high school.
Oh, that's crazy. How did it go?
It was pretty good. I thought it was a hit. It was really good. All 3 nights. Obviously, parents would definitely support their kids if they're performing in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it went really well. It was so much fun. Like that was one of the reasons why I actually chose drama as one of my not IB but like GCSE. So like my a general secondary education certificate.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. Something along those lines.
Oh, okay.
So like basically when you go from grade 9 to 10, so at grade 10 you have to do the secondary school exams. One of the bigger exams. And my school, you get to choose what things you want to study, like major in, for high school, and drama was one of mine. So since going into that school, since performing in the musicals and I've participated in the school productions since my first one, so every year. So from that I decided I liked performance. I enjoy being on stage and dancing and singing and doing that sort of thing.
Aww,
so yeah,
that's wonderful. So then what got you into the idea? So we're we're building our backstory, right? So you found the voice acting studio while you were on break, and you kind of had time to meander around.
Yes.
Prior to that, before you were like, yeah, I could do voice acting. Had you considered maybe trying to find like an improv theater group to join or anything?
Surprisingly enough, despite enjoying performances and despite liking being on stage, I haven't actually thought of it as a possible job. Before that, just because, Asian parents.
Right.
Like, not so much Asian parents, because my they were like, I'll support you in anything you want to do. It's more like the Asian society in general doesn't really support anyone wanting to go into the entertainment industry.
Yeah, not unless if there's like hard evidence you can make it big really quickly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you want to be a performer, you want to be in entertainment. Why don't you use all that energy studying to be a doctor or a lawyer instead? Yeah, that sort of thing. So like, and my side wasn't like that. I didn't have that sort of pressure, but it's just the culture that I never thought about it as a possible thing that I can be a performer as a job.
Druid, Nani.
So yeah. So that finding out that there's a school to teach people to perform was a little bit of a shock and a little bit of a happy coincidence for me. I was like, oh my god, yes. Oh myself, yes.
Oh myself. Oh my goddess, yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it really was fate, because there were a lot of things that would have made you go, maybe I shouldn't, or maybe it's just a pipe dream. But you ended up doing it anyway. And everything sort of led you to that place.
Yeah.
And it sort of kind of just took off from there. That's wonderful, though. So, do you feel sort of a connection? Are you like, yes, this must be my calling? Or are you like, I can do whatever I want whenever I want?
I mean, a little bit of, this must be my calling. But at the same time, I'm pretty realistic about it. It's really hard to make it in this world.
Yes, that's true.
So like, am I cut out for it? Do I have the dedication? Like, will I be able to continue on this route 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? So I still do think about that sort of thing. And it is still, one of the things that I trouble myself over. Like I go, am I really cut out for this? Can I really do this? But yeah, at the same time, I really do like this. So I'm just gonna give myself a chance. Is what I keep saying to myself. I have, I graduated from voice acting school. I've currently joined a management company like for voice actors. I'm sort of like an intern now. I have a year to prove myself to them and to myself that I can do it. That sort of I just have to work really hard on it.
You can do it. You've got the mental fortitude for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the hardest part.
Correct.
It's just feeling like, can I continue with this? Can I keep this up? And the answer for you is obviously yes. Yes, you can. And we're here to support you too.
Aw, thank you.
Yes. So, yeah, exactly. Let's mosey our way back into music. It's so hard not to talk about both, right? Because they're so intertwined. Specifically with your life as well, but just in general. I mean, any form of the arts will have some connections. I see a stay hydrated. I'm gonna take a sip of water.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just be right back. Just let me get some water. My cup.
Yes. Here we go. So we'll let her pause for a second. Hello, friends. What do you think so far? What do you think so far? The voice acting world is a cruel world, isn't it? But it's good that, I mean, we're also hearing just how connected it is with music. I think that's so wonderful. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, our conversation is about music, but once again, it's so entwined. It's hard not to talk about one without the other. Same goes for voice acting gig. Yes, or even just, you know, music in general. Welcome back, Suiren.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yay!
Pachi pachi, pachi pachi, pachi pachi. It must be easy to get water when you're a water goddess.
It is. I just need a cup for it. Because if I just conjure water out of thin air, it's probably gonna splash all over the place, and I don't have that.
I like it. Suiren is really talented. Yeah, congratulations on getting 2K followers. You got, wait, I did?
Yeah.
Wait, when? Oh, okay. I thought it was you.
I don't have, I'm nowhere near 2K.
Oh,
my
okay.
last count was 500 something. There's no way I got 2K, you know.
Oh,
suddenly.
okay. I didn't even know. I'm so sorry. It feels dumb. Sitting there going, oh, cool. Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. Konosuba Aqua Water Trick.
2012.
What was I? I did a 2012 here for you. It's not, it's like the year again. It feels like the year 2012.
It's not, I think it's the number of followers, but that's okay.
Suiren, we can help you get 2K followers? Yes. We're building your army.
I don't have an army, I have a disciple following.
You have a disciple following? We'll merge followings. We'll be okay.
That works. That works.
The Kingdom of Crunch gives its support to the
I can build a temple in your Kingdom of Crunch.
Sounds like it'd work. You have a good personality and are certainly talented. Yeah. H2O group. Water team. Oh my
Water
goodness.
Table, yes.
I love it. So, we have about 10 minutes left into our stream, a little bit over, I'd say about 12 minutes.
Okay.
Do you have any advice for those who maybe are interested in the harp, or I guess seeing as how we discussed voice acting for a while, even voice acting?
Well, for the harp, when you try and learn the harp, I guess, decide first which ones you want to do, like the lever harp or the pedal harp that you want to start with. I mean, technically they're interchangeable, but like the way you learn it is very different. Also having a harp to practice on is very, very useful. Unfortunately, harps are very pricey, so gotta think about that when you decide to start or not to start on the harp.
なるほどね。
Yeah. And as for voice acting, unless you really, really enjoy the job, like enjoy voice acting, I would suggest don't go for it. I'm not trying to turn anyone down from voice acting. Depends on where you want to do it. So American voice acting and Japanese voice acting. Japanese, you have to be very fluent in Japanese, and you have to almost sound like, not almost, you have to sound like a native Japanese speaker in order to get jobs. So that's one very important fact to consider. Getting into Japanese voice acting. If you want to be an English voice actor, just know that there is a difference between English voice acting and English dub acting. You know, anime, dubbing anime, and being like a normal voice actor. Because, you know, anime is very different, especially if you're dubbing. And being like, you know, like a trailer voice actor, even, you know, like, I don't know. How do I say it? Like, doing any sort of trailer voices or any sort of, narration. That
like
sort
that
of thing.
whole, like, in a world, like that sort of.
Yes. In a world where there is,
Yeah.
Where no one cares. One man stands alone. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's very, very different than going like, oh my god, please stop,
That's true.
That's it. That sort of thing. So it's very, very different. So like when you decide to do voice acting, you have to decide which type of voice actor you want to be, and the way you learn to use your voice will be very different as well. But like, my suggestion is don't go for anime dubs.
That's like a breed all its own, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've always kind of wondered about English dubs of anime because it does seem very different.
Yes.
And they also, and I mean, this is back like when, they still showed like Full Metal Alchemist on like Cartoon Network or something. You know what I mean? Like when I was a small Harune. But it was weird because it almost seemed like there wasn't a lot of like natural pauses between their lines. Or maybe there were pauses in weird places, or like the inflections were different. It still sounded like speaking, but like I could never really put my finger on it. But like I could always, before I knew that there was like original, like you could watch the anime in original Japanese.
Right.
I always sort of thought like, wow, American cartoons sound different than.
Right. I think it's mostly because when you're dubbing an anime, especially from Japanese to English, first of all, the language is very different. And also culturally speaking, there are also some differences. So like, it doesn't always translate to, when your lines, but mostly because you have to match your mouth movements.
I like that name. It's fun.
It is fun.
But yes, the Prince of Oni has found you. There we have a he's a prince. But anyway, I'm so sorry. So back to the topic at hand. So the dubbing and things like of that like. So for Japanese voice acting.
Yes.
And how you say that it's quite significantly different from American voice acting. Do you feel like their standards are different? Because I would assume all sort of expectations for acting are sort of the same. You want the right inflections. You want, like air support and body movement while you act. It seems like that should be held at the same level of importance across the board. Yes. How are they different?
I think what I feel is most different is the way they're recorded. In English voice acting, or like, especially when you're doing dubs or even like, cartoons or even just normal voice acting, it's one actor in a studio and acting just all their lines out, and then the next actor comes in and then they do their lines. Whereas in a Japanese studio, what happens is for that episode, all the actors are called in, and they just do it all the way through nonstop. They do it, like by scene or whatever, but like everyone who's involved in it would be, recording at the same time. So you say your line and I react to your line, and then the third person reacts to that line. There's a conversation going on. So that's why there's a different sort of energy. Whereas when you're by yourself, you have to imagine the other person speaking. So like, for example, it's very different to say, hi, how are you? And then have someone respond, yeah, I'm doing good. How about you? Whereas, if there's two people doing a conversation, you can work off each other's energy. But in a English studio, it's just one person. You still have to go like, if you're the second person saying, oh, hi, how are you? I'm doing fine, or that sort of thing. You'd have to imagine that person saying to you, hi, how are you first.
Right, and then sort of thinking like, oh, how would I, you know, how would I react to that had they said that to me?
Yes.
You know, in real time.
Yes. So in that certain scenario, because you don't know how that person's gonna perform, right? You don't know whether he's gonna say, you know, in a cheery voice, hi, how are you, or in a, you know, sort of like a depressed, hi, how are you? You don't know, so you sort of have to guess, and it's just easier for you to not add any emotion in there in the end. You know?
Not at all.
And that's a mistake that a lot of people do, because they're like, oh, I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm just gonna do something that's, you know, generic and you know, that will probably match whatever that they come up with. So it turns out to be like, you know, either too generic, or like they're not, you know, putting a lot of emotion, or they're putting too much emotion in there. You know, that's
right.
That's an issue.
なるほど, I see. That makes a lot of sense. And that makes it actually, and I've even seen like little clips, like for example on YouTube, they had like deleted scenes from Frozen 2.
Yeah.
Or not even necessarily completely deleted, but maybe like altered or things like that. So they have like the rough sketch, right? It's not quite animated. It's just sort of like in flipbook style almost, or like from scene to scene.
Right.
Or from frame to frame. And they have the character, right? They have that character's voice actor. And then if it involves another character, you actually hear their lines being read by someone else.
Yes.
Like, not, you know, not to like take their place, you know, or like that they had casted someone else, but like literally as like a fill-in, so that there's...
Yeah, like I guess you call those prompters. They just read the lines, and most of the time they read it without emotion.
Yeah, yeah, I did notice that for sure, and that seems even harder to like build off of, because if you're supposed to be, I mean, because acting is so much of a reactive thing.
Yeah,
it's a give and take. So you give them an emotion, and they respond back, and then you respond, and it's very much a conversation of emotion as well. And when you have someone reading to you like in a deadpan voice, that can't be easy to respond to.
Not.
So that's so much better than you know, the alternative, which is, you know, so I like the idea of the Japanese style of voice acting sessions. That seems so much nicer.
Yes, but at the same time, the risk is if you make a mistake, then you're gonna have to, you know, you're gonna be, you know, the one that's stopping the whole process. And they'll be like, well, since you made a mistake, we're gonna have to start the whole scene together, like the whole scene all together, and all your senpai is gonna have to do all their lines again, and you're like, you know, I'm so sorry.
You're like, no. Bad, Oh, I understand. Oh goodness, yeah, that you're right. There is sort of a pressure there, especially when you're working with people who have clearly like done this longer than you have.
Yeah.
You're like, no, please don't hate me. Please
don't hate me. I'm so sorry.
Right, I'm just trying my best. I'm sure they understand though. Like that's gotta happen. I mean, early on, I'm sure.
Yes.
That was, you know, their experience as well. You know what I mean? Like everyone's had to do the same thing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. For sure. But like at the same time, if you make too many mistakes, or like if you make the same mistake 3 times, and the director's gonna be like, does this person know what they're doing? Okay, you know what? We're just gonna, you know, he's only recorded 3 or 4 lines. We're just gonna switch someone out, switch them out, and you know, ask another person to come in and do it.
Oof! Oh no, that's bad too. Darn it.
Because yeah, that happens. That happens.
Oh heck, that's gotta be a terrible feeling. Because then you're just like, oh, like I scuffed it so much, it needed to be replaced. Like,
yeah,
darn.
So it is a lot of pressure. But again, with voice acting, and especially Japanese voice acting, studios are expensive. Time is money. If you make too many mistakes and have to redo things altogether, then you know, like it's better off to find someone else, you know?
なるほど、なるほど。I'm so sorry. It seems like we keep going back to voice acting. I'm so sorry. But I will ask a more music-related question. Has there ever been... Have you ever found it necessary or thought it would benefit a recording session by bringing your instrument with you? Like, was there ever a moment where you're like, wait, I could play the harp in this? Like, or like, you know... I feel like that's so specific, though. Hang on. Let me like rethink this question. Has there ever been a character that you've been trying to portray that you were like, music would benefit this character? Like, have you ever used music to sort of develop a character's personality more?
I have yet to be able to do that, but there has been moments, especially during auditions, especially auditions for, you know, to apply to an agency. Because very often, for an audition, the first thing they'll, like, you know, what they normally request for you to do is 1, a self-introduction. 2, show off a skill that you have. And 3, more often than not, it's a performance. Read a script. They'll give you a script. You'll have to do a performance of it. You know, if you do well, then, you know, they give a check mark and that sort of thing. But it's also to do with your personality and stuff like that. So very often for auditions, especially for, you know, like major auditions to get into the company, there were a few times I was like, maybe I should bring my harp for the skill performance, you know?
Yeah.
That would be impressive, you know?
Right.
So I have actually thought about that a few times because, you know, they're like, oh yeah, you know, show off a skill that you have. I mean,
let me just whip out my harp.
Yeah, let me just whip out my harp. Most of the time, my answer is I can speak in, you know, 3 different languages. And you know, that has actually gotten me pretty far. The place I actually got accepted into, you know, my skill performance was I sang Amazing Grace in Chinese, English, and Japanese.
Ooh, nice.
Swap between the 3 languages between the lines.
That is impressive.
That was impressive to the person auditioning me. So I felt like that's the reason I got in.
Oh, nice. But you know what? You know, like you said, if you've got those skills, use them. You know?
Yeah. What is the name I gave my harp? I actually didn't give my harp a name yet. I should.
Have you... So when you said you had played guitar before, did you ever give a name to your guitar?
No, I have not.
Well, one day...
Should I give a name to my instruments?
Yes.
Do you give a name to your instruments?
I do. My piano's name is not the one that I practice at home. I don't know why I haven't named that one. But the one that I teach on, his name is Carlisle. Carlisle. My flute's name is Terry. Short for Teriyaki Suzuki Honda Civic. That was yeah, see, that's just like a nonsense name, and I couldn't remember. It had been so long ago since I named him, but it was actually a reference to like a Nigahiga skit from, you know, however many years ago. But yeah, so that was Free helped me remember that. I was like, isn't that a reference? I'm like, you know, maybe it's been so long. And he was like, wait, Nigahiga, and I was like, yes, that's what it is. So yeah, How to Be a Ninja. Yes. Teriyaki Suzuki Honda Civic, but I just call him Terry for short. My violin's name is Jameson. I had a guitar, but that was before I started naming things, so it doesn't have a name either. But yeah, so those are my main instruments and their names. So yeah, you should name your harp and then let us know.
I should. I could name a musical.
Musical. Oh, that's so cute. Yes, musical. See, already, bam, done. Done. There you go. Does your violin want pictures of Spider-Man on the regular? he does not. No, he does not. But totally unrelated to Spider-Man in every way, shape, or form. But like the violin, I don't know why it has this type of wood versus what's normally used on like commercially produced violins. But it has rosewood pegs.
Oh.
Which I don't know if it's supposed to do this. The point I'm trying to get at is that it smelled like the pegs smell really, really nice. So when I get my violin out to play and I have it resting on my knee as I rosin the bow or anything like that, I just smell the rosewood pegs and it smells so nice. It sounds so creepy, but I don't know why. But like that sort of like regal smell, like helped me name him. So. It's a weird. It's.
I can imagine like you getting ready for a performance and everybody just looking at you. Why is she sniffing her violin?
She just sticks her pegs up her nose. What is she doing? Oh my goodness. But yeah, so thank you again, Suiren, for talking to us about both your musical interests and your voice acting. Like I said, this is our first collab together. So
yes,
it's been wonderful to get to know you, and it seems like chat really absolutely loves you, and we cannot wait to hear your Sailor Moon piece.
I will do it. I will. We can do like a Sailor Moon collab together.
Yes, that would be wonderful. You'll have to let me know them sheet musics. And let me know. I'll start practicing that ahead of time.
Yeah.
But so and thank you all so much, chat, for coming today and for showing Suiren your support. She is obviously gorgeous, adorable, and very skilled at what she does. So once again, please feel free to check her out on all of her social media handles, and I'm gonna link those. You bet your bottom dollar I will be doing that. So let's see. We have Suiren. Gimme. There it is. So this is her Twitter. Oh, okay, I thought that was a clip. Let me just give you a shout out, Suiren. So that's her Twitter, and this is that SPSSO. Darn it. I can't type. And this is her Twitch. So you can go check her out there. She also does have a Discord. So please.
I do indeed.
Yes.
Let me post my Discord link down below. Just give me
one
moment.
Please. Still gotta catch up all the myth story talks. Oh yeah. You also do just chatting, like conversations about. I think your first just chatting one was about the mythology of dragons, wasn't it?
Yes.
Hey, that's so cool. I wanted to be there for that one. I don't think I could. I don't think I was able to make it that day. I think it was. I don't know. Was that Japan time? Like, were you doing that really late?
Early in the morning.
Oh, okay,
so it was like 10 a.m. So it was like what, 9 p.m.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, naruhodo, darn it. So I either would have been streaming during that time, or I would have been like eating and sleeping or something. So darn it, but that doesn't mean you guys can't make it while we're all in quarantine here. It's almost the best time to sort of catch up on all of the different things that VTubers are doing. So yeah, please give Suiren your support and all of your follows and all that good stuff. Let's see who we can raid. I'm seeing Yuikai. Is she still online?
She's still online. She's doing VR chat. There's Virtual Miku Cat. There is Baguetto-chan, and there is Danny-kun, who is also online. Let me check. There's a lot of people online, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently, Yui, Virtual Miku, and Baguetto are all doing VR chat. I don't know if they're in the same chat room together or not.
Oh, okay.
Danny-kun is doing Resident Evil 4.
I'm seeing some requests for Yuikai, and I know it's been a while since I raided her, so I say we send over a siege to Yuikai. So Yui Kai. I don't
Take
know.
over Yui stream. Yeah.
There we go. It's a heist.
It's a heist.
It's
Kingdom of Crunch.
Virtual Market 4. Oh, yes.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, there we go.
Virtual
So
Market.
then any of you guys that are interested in what's going to be new in VR chat, stick around because Yui's going to take you on a tour. So thank you all so much for joining me today. And once again, Suiren, thank you so much for being the final guest on this chat with musician
I am
YouTubers.
extremely honored to be the final guest. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, of course, and I am honored to have you here. We will merge our temple with the kingdom, and we'll have a prosperous, harmonious relationship.
H2O, you know, collab.
There we go.
H2O group.
I love it. That's super adorable. All right, minasan, thank you so much for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, whether it is morning, noon, or night. それでは、
ありがとうございました。
はい、またね。バイバイ。
バイバイ。And we have rated. I think, have we?
Yes.